I want to change gears a bit. For the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about topical issues, including ones that apparently aren't all that controversial. But this week, I want to do something we haven't done enough of, and that is share knowledge. As developers, we're constantly looking for ways to improve our craft so that we can give you the best games possible. From time to time, I'd like to share some of that knowledge so that you too can become better artists, level designers, programmers, ballerinas. Actually, that last one I probably can't help you with. So this week I'd like to start that off with a favorite of mine, the principles of design. Now, most of us can look at something and instinctually know that, yeah, this looks really good, or that this doesn't. But what's the underlying reason that something is visually captivating? Is it polygon count? Is it how realistic it is? Is it how blue it is? No, it's the worst adherence to the principles of design, a fundamental set of principles and ideas that help achieve good visual design. Now, these are principles that were around long before video games, but they apply to any visual medium. In fact, I'd argue that many of these principles can be applied to other media as well. For instance, like you'll see here in a second, something like contrast certainly applies to things like music, or my inability to speak in a video blog. Now, there are many different interpretations of these principles, so it's not like my interpretation of what constitutes good design is law. Also, given that this is a development blog for a game, I will try to relate these to gaming as much as possible. It's a hefty topic, and there are entire college courses dedicated to this subject, but I plan to whip through all of these in about 5 minutes. Of course, I'll go into more detail on each of these principles in future blogs, but for now, I just want to touch on each of these principles briefly. So, let's get started. The first one, a classic, is balance. It's a concept so intuitive that explaining it almost seems silly. It's like explaining that sharp things can hurt you or that cake is a lie. Nonetheless, I'll do it anyway. Basically, you want to maintain an even distribution of stuff around your focal point. The easiest way to do this is with symmetry, but there are other ways which we'll explore later. The next one is rhythm. Basically, the idea is to repeat certain elements to establish consistency and order. This goes hand in hand with the last principle, unity, and is definitely one that can be applied to other media. But basically, that something that's repeated is signaled as being more important. It helps it resonate more with the viewer, player, listener, whatever! Which leads us to the next principle, emphasis. This is what you're calling our attention to. Be it a ceiling with a light streaming in, a wall with an important switch, or a magical MC skybox. This is what our eyes are supposed to be drawn to. Everything else should be supporting this. Details of the main idea. Not everything can be important. In fact, there's a saying, if everything is important, nothing is important. And that certainly applies here. Variety and contrast are both pretty similar, so I'm just going to lump them together for now. Basically, the idea is simple. Mix things up. Keep things interesting. Vary the lighting, color, and shapes. Take the ideas you've established and push them as far as you can. If I talked in a drab monotone without any voice inflection or excitement, your brains would go to sleep on me. Or did they already? Or did they? Next, we have harmony. This basically means that you're not overcomplicating things. That everything is streamlined. It sounds easy enough, but if you've ever seen something that looks just too muddy, or like they're just overdoing it, yeah, that's not good harmony. And finally, unity. This means that everything works together as a unified whole, that you don't have a Frankenstein of a work. Everything makes sense in the context of everything else, and nothing sticks out like a sore thumb. For instance, if you put a pirate symbol on a weapon in a game that has nothing to do with pirates, that wouldn't make any sense, would it? So there you have it, a basic overview of the principles of design. Now, instead of simplistic criticism like, this area looks boring, you can now tell me, hey, Carnival, this room has weak contrast and isn't balanced properly. And I can cry myself to sleep. Anyway, I thank you guys very much for watching, and I will talk to you next week.